Austin.
Caleb. There's hair on my mic.
Don't flick it at me. Somehow there's always hair on these things. I don't know if you can hear it or not, guys. Oh, I feel like I'm gonna be still holding this thing.
It's all right.
For now.
It's just experimentation.
Exactly. How are you doing this fine Christmas Eve?
I'm doing okay. Work has really been... The way school's been kicking your ass is the way it feels like work is kicking my ass recently. Just like the days fly by because there's just so much to do.
Yeah.
How are you, Caleb?
I'm doing good. I in the past I wasn't that great of a student, but this semester, A's and B's.
Hell yeah.
Listen, I barely got an E or a B on my English, but it's a B.
Doesn't matter what percent it is, just matters that it is. That's good. Finals went well.
Oh yeah. Actually, I looked for one of my finals. I had a test that I really needed to get like a few more points on than my last few tests to get that up to an A.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, I think I know everything, but I'm kind of nervous about it. And then I look on it, and usually all these are like proctored and like whatever. I look, and it's open book, non-proctored. Thank goodness. Bless you, but like, thank goodness. Like, thank goodness. But
yeah,
I know. Welcome back, guys, again.
Welcome back from our little hiatus. It is a busy time of year with the holidays and semesters ending, and Caleb and I's job. This is unfortunately also the busiest time of year for our job. So
Yes.
It's really just been a hectic last couple weeks.
It really has. And I'm so out of the loop. I grabbed literally my study notebook instead of my actual notebook. Austin, entertain him. I'll be right back.
You know, the funny thing is I saw the notebook laying on the floor, and I was like, oh, wow, Caleb got a new notebook. Not realizing, well, I mean, of course I wouldn't know what his study notebook looks like, but I was like, oh, wow, he's got an even bigger notebook than normal. But turns out it's just because it's the wrong notebook, which is something I would do. So not surprised Caleb did it himself. But
I'm back.
Welcome back.
All right. There we go. This looks less like a bunch of hoopla and more like some actually interesting topics.
It'd been really weird if you started talking about like biology. Like, wait.
To start letting you guys know what innovators versus early adopters are. No. For those visual listeners,
You might notice something.
wait, I can move the mic. Yeah, we got a mic stand too. It's not the mic stand. I got a haircut.
Yes.
Since we last
Can't
saw.
you tell? See? You know, the funny thing is I think I noticed your new haircut at work like last week, but I was like, oh, I'll just mention it on the podcast, and then we never did the podcast.
No. We've decided to dub that hiatus as season 1. And now, the last episode of season 1 just got released a few days ago. That was, you guys were a little odd. That was recorded about 3 weeks before I did upload it. But that's the last episode of season 1. And now we are on Balls and Blasters season 2.
You might be wondering, what is season 2? What does that entail as opposed to season 1? And the answer is, we don't know either.
Nope. Hey, we took a big break, so here we are. We should mention though, yeah, the hoodies. We got.
Hey.
Shout out. We're actually gonna shout out an actual shout out. Shout out to JR, our friend. Thank you very much. These are awesome. We absolutely adore them.
They're comfy. They're warm. They fit very well. I'm very, very pleased. It is kind of cool to have like
merch or like just something with it.
It's what's the correct term? Like, you know how there's like alphas and betas to video games? This is like that, but for like merchandise potentially. because no one's probably ever going to have something like this if they.
Oh yeah.
You know?
I thought you were talking about some like incel shit for a second. I was like,
No.
I was like, what?
No.
No. Yeah, no. This is like an actual like alpha,
Yeah.
an alpha build.
Yes. So yes, once again, thank you, JR. We really appreciate it.
Mhm.
He thought of this idea when he was making a funny Christmas sweater.
Mhm. And yeah, we really appreciate it. We actually love it. Yeah, thank you. Again, it is really cool just having like something.
Right. It's cool. Like potentially could wear this around, and people be like, "What in the world
Oh.
are you wearing?"
No, I'm wearing this to the gym for sure. And people are gonna wonder why. You know, thank goodness I thought about changing our logo too. Thank goodness I didn't.
Well, again, that's what's going to make it even
Yeah.
cooler. Because I can imagine we are going to go through some changes eventually,
Eventually.
and it'll just make it even more unique.
Well, Austin.
I suppose we should do that thing that we hit record for.
Yeah, I guess. So, season 2 of Balls and Blasters, like Austin said, we don't know what season 2 is going to be different from season 1, other than we have some upgrades coming with
Right.
Christmas and stuff. Hopefully, as you guys can see, I have a mic stand. We tried to get Austin. It was actually used on Austin's side, but his mic doesn't. The thing that connects this is stuck into my mic, so I'm using the mic stand.
So Caleb's got a mic stand. Hopefully, I will have one in the coming weeks here, and then I think you might have some foam coming.
Yeah, hopefully it won't be ugly around here. I'm gonna try to do it all around there so you guys can at least hear it a little, or it'll sound a little nicer in here. Hopefully some foam.
Slowly but surely improving.
Yes. So I mean, I gotta mention, entertain him again while I fix the light.
Okay.
I'm not cutting this shit.
Yes, we mentioned. I mean, it's a key light, right?
Yes.
We've had it for like an episode or two now, or is it just the one episode?
Just one episode.
Yeah. So you can see our pretty faces even better than normal.
Yep, we record in 4K. We got pretty faces. See, this thing is really. It'll work.
It'll work.
I kind of rushed this job because we did have to get going.
We're workshopping. But all right. So, for those that have seen any of the first 17 episodes, you know what's up. You know the deal. For anybody that maybe this is your first time checking out Balls and Blasters, quick little rundown. I am Austin. I talk about the balls side of the podcast. I talk about sports, and I try to teach Caleb things that he might not know about sports. Maybe you get to learn something too. And my buddy Caleb over here does the blaster side. He talks about nerdy things. Could be sports, or could be movies. Could be video games. It could be. We did an anime episode. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, we did. We were just talking about that actually.
Talked about streaming, anything of that nature, really.
Basically, anything that you're gonna like see like on a screen. I'd say that's not actual person.
Right.
And for me, sometimes they are. That was a bad analogy.
Point being, we're here to teach each other about our particular interest. And I suppose we could probably get there. This is probably one of our longer intros.
Yeah, I like it though. Hey, it's season 2.
Season 2.
Yeah, and I like it. We start out every topic by deciding who goes first. And how do we decide who goes first? Well, we do a little rock, paper, scissors match. For you blaster side nerds out there, Austin is currently leading 12-5 against me. Now, rock, paper, scissors, even like if there were like you had a 2/3 chance of winning and I had a 1/3 chance of winning, Austin, that is statistically lower than that as well.
It sure is. At 12-5, Caleb, I would be making the playoffs in the NFL right now.
And
I'd be a playoff football team.
And I would be living in Minnesota.
Close, yeah.
That sounded right. No.
Shoot. So, yes, I suppose that means we can get her started, Caleb. Get the show on the road.
I would agree. So,
ready to rock and roll?
Rock, paper, and scissors. On shoot. All right.
Rock, paper, scissors,
shoot. No! Woo! All right. Statistically, it's a miracle that Austin's winning. It's probably like
I have won my first round playoff game.
Yeah, you literally have. Ugh. It's sad to see just your number go up every episode and mine not.
It is. This is really unprecedented. I feel like if we doing this long enough, I have to imagine it'll even out. You would think.
Yeah, if I win the next is that 8 episodes, then we'll tie.
Well, I mean, just a couple wins at a time, Caleb. Not once every other. We've been doing this podcast. We were just looking at some old episodes today. This is our 5th going on 6th month of doing this. You're averaging 1 win a month.
Yeah, hey. I'll take it. You know, that 1 win a month is better than point. There's 0 point whatever wins.
Better than less than a win a month.
Mm-hmm, yeah. I mean, yeah, statistically you're winning like
I'm winning over 2 times a month. And
And
that's math with balls and blasters. All right, Caleb, I'm ready to rock and roll. Let's do this.
let's get some dumb sport talk.
It is finally baseball again. And I've noticed something about when I'm, I've tried to do rotation of baseball, football, hockey, basketball. So that way they all get their love and it's, about a month's time in between topics just to spread it out. I've noticed in my baseball research, I've gotten more in depth and there's just naturally more notes. That might be because baseball is my favorite sport, Caleb.
I mean, you kind of lean into what you most like and are most passionate about.
I think there's something to that, Caleb. I really do. I really do. So we got baseball on the docket today. It's a bit of a different topic today. We've talked, baseball. We've talked about the home run derby and the All-Star game. We've
Batting average.
talked about batting average. We've talked about pitching stats. We've talked about the Hall of Fame. We've kind of run the gamut on baseball. And I have another wing to add to that hallway, Caleb. We are going to talk about going on strike.
Oh, not baseball strikes, but like union strikes.
I'm not talking balls and strikes, Caleb. I'm talking pitchforks and picket signs.
I almost had to do a strike once at a job, so I know a little bit about that.
You know a thing or two because you've seen a thing or two, Caleb.
Exactly.
So, for context, there is a great fear in the baseball community that there is not going to be a baseball season next season
Really?
because their baseball collective bargaining agreement that's agreed on between the players and the owners of baseball is coming to an end, and it's widely believed that the owners are going to make demands that the players do not like, and it's probably going to be it'll either be a lockout or a strike. If it's a lockout, it's the owner saying you're not playing until you agree to our terms. If it's a strike, it's the players saying we're not playing until you agree to our terms. Just little difference there, but
And a strike is more widely accepted by the public than a lockout, I'm gonna guess.
generally, yes. Terminology does matter depending on where the ire goes from the fans, a lot of the topics that I talk about in this episode are the exact things that are coming up potentially in this new collective bargaining. What's the term I'm looking for here? I was trying to think of it earlier. Not exchange, but debate, or I can't think.
Debate is a good word.
Debate is a good word. Yeah. Whatever. We'll move on. So, baseball strikes / lockouts or work stoppages, whatever you want to call it, they follow a very common theme, and there's actually been quite a few throughout the history of Major League Baseball. For those that are unaware, the Major League Baseball Players Union is arguably the most powerful union in the world. Certainly in the United States. They fight tooth and nail for their players. It has gone, the debates and the battles between the Players Association and the Major League Baseball owners have gone to the federal courts many times.
Dang.
It's quite amazing what they've been able to do. So, first of all, Caleb, I want to ask, do you know what a collective bargaining agreement is?
You know what? That's so funny. I really should. I can't say that I, off the top of my head, do though.
The legal definition, I guess I don't know exactly, but we'll just tie a definition in for baseball specifically because that's what we're talking about. A baseball collective bargaining agreement is an agreement between Major League Baseball, the owners, and the commissioner of the league, and the Major League Baseball Players Association, the labor union, the business of baseball, and the charitable foundation of MLB players. So it's essentially everything that encompasses the players. These CBAs are typically ratified on a 5-year basis. It used to be every 3 years. Now they debate and try to get a new one done every 5 years.
I feel like that's a typical union time frame.
Yes, I guess I don't know exactly because I'm not really familiar in other unions, but there was a time where strikes and work stoppages were happening every couple of years, and they're like, okay, we're just going to make this a 5-year thing so we can play baseball.
I know the union that I was a part of was 5 years that they agreed upon. So I think that's like my only knowledge of it, but so
gotcha. Some similarities. These CBAs affect all economic aspects of a Major League Baseball season, including the length of the season, per diem for players on road trips, and I don't know if that's still a big deal or not. That could be more like on a minor league baseball level that matters. Free agency and salary arbitration. Now, all instances, so we have quick definition of CBA. We're going to go quickly over the previous strikes and lockouts that have happened in Major League Baseball. Literally every single one is to do with salary arbitration, free agency, and a salary cap.
And we've talked about all these.
We've sprinkled it in here and there and everywhere in our baseball conversations. Major League Baseball has been fighting its players over these 3 topics for quite literally 50 years. So, more than 50 years, quite honestly. And it's going to come back up, and it's going to keep happening. Let's get into our background. I should say the technical topic the specific topic we're talking about is the 1994-1995 Major League Baseball strike. This is, as we'll detail later, probably the biggest sports strike in the history of sports.
Okay.
So, let's dive in, Caleb. Do you have any questions? Do you have any predictions? Anything you want to add before I get really into the weeds here?
Does this have to do with World War II in any way, shape, or form?
No, we will not be going all the way back to World War II.
The 1945, right?
1994, 1990.
Okay, never mind.
If I misspoke, I'm sorry.
No, I think I just misheard you wrong. Okay, never mind. Does it have 50 years later, does it have to deal with World War II?
94 and 95. But we need to get there first. Let's talk about some previous strikes and lockouts, Caleb. Starting in 1972 up until 1994 and 95, I would describe this time frame in MLB history as tumultuous.
Tumultuous.
It's a big word.
Yeah, say it. I don't even know if I know what that means. No, I do know.
Yeah, okay. So the very first player strike was in 1972. And a strike or a lockout happened again in 1972, 73, 76, 1980, 81, 85, and 1990. Just, they couldn't stop arguing with each other.
It's like every other year, almost.
So, real quickly, let's go and just talk a little bit about each of those just so we get an idea of the history of these things. 1972. There was a player strike, and essentially the outcome of it was the players won $500,000 in increased pension funds, because up until this point, their life after baseball wasn't really taken care of for them. And the owners also agreed to add salary arbitration. Before this point, because we had talked about service time, if you remember, and those who remember that episode, arbitration happens, as soon as you accrue a year of service time. Well, that used to not be a thing. It became a thing in 1972.
Wait, so there still was arbitration, but there wasn't service time.
There was service time. I don't think it really mattered though.
Okay.
Essentially. And it was kind of this 1972 strike was kind of a big deal. There was 86 total games missed.
And
So I like total games, and so each team plays 162 games. So like on the grand scale, like 86 games isn't that much, but we're still
it's like half.
I'm talking like total of all the teams.
Okay.
So they didn't miss that much time, but it was very notable. It's the first time this had ever happened in Major League Baseball. There was playoffs, the World Series got played, all that fun stuff. The very next year, they essentially kind of just put things off. Things weren't exactly solved after 1972, and they still aren't really solved. So 1973, the owners wanted agreement with the Players Association on the use of arbitration, because there was no real guidelines to it. The owners just agreed that it should happen. Now they gotta agree on like when it should happen.
Did you explain arbitration?
Wait,
really do a brief explanation on arbitration.
very brief. So salary arbitration. Good question, Caleb. I kind of just assumed there. Salary arbitration, essentially, before a player hits free agency in Major League Baseball, they do what is now 6 years. It did not used to be that way, but it's 6 years of salary arbitration. You essentially put a number out there as a player of what you think you're worth. The owner of your team, management of your team, puts out their number of what they think you're worth. Your number is usually higher than what the owners think you're worth, and you have to come on an agreement for what your salary is for that upcoming season. Most players typically agree on a number because it usually is pretty lopsided and like, hey, like you're not going to get what you want. Go with the owner's number. But sometimes they do have to go to an actual arbitrator, and they will either they cannot decide on a number in between. The evidence is laid out, and they either agree with the player or they agree with what the team wants to pay them. So it is essentially a way of deciding what your salary is for the upcoming season, and then you get to free agency and you get to make way more money. Okay. So 1973, the owners wanted some regulations on this stuff instead of just like every single year deciding like, okay, what are we going to pay you this year? Let's try and get some framework here. It was decided that you were eligible for arbitration if you had 2 years of consecutive service or 3 non-consecutive seasons of service. Those were the types of players that could go to arbitration. Free agency was not a thing. It was just if you had 2 years of consecutive service or 3 non-consecutive years of service. Free agency was not a thing. The only way a player could go to a different team was if they were sold, which we kind of touched on in the Curse of the Bambino with Babe Ruth being sold.
And they were cursed for it.
Cursed forever. You could trade players, or you could just flat out release them. If the player was like, I'm not playing for you, bro, like not going to happen, then they'd just be like, fine, go away. And then you could sign with another team. But free agency really was not a thing. Yeah, okay. So that was 1973. 1976, so I had mentioned these CBAs used to be signed for 3 years at a time. Now we're 3 years later, and now there's whole hoopla again. We could get really deep into the weeds on the 1976 player lockout for Major League Baseball. It kind of deserves its own little section, but we're going to be really quick about it. There used to be this thing called the reserve clause, which essentially was when a player's contract expired, the team that had signed them to that contract still owned their rights. This is why free agency was not a thing, because your contract could expire and you would just still be owned by that team. And you essentially had to re-sign with them, or the team could go through some back channels and trade you, or
But if they didn't sign you, you were like done.
pretty much.
Oh, that's really weird.
Yeah. Owners used to have you want to know why the Players Association is so like vehemently on the players' side and they do not like the owners and commissioners, or at least it seems that way, is because owners used to control like literally everything. It was the players had no control for decades over what they did.
And that like kind of like still has that like mentality.
Right, which is why they kind of come to a head in a couple decades here. So the reserve clause, which teams would hold on to a player's rights regardless if their contract expired, was abolished. This is one of those cases where this dispute between the players and the owners went all the way up to the federal court. It was called the Seitz decision. Peter Seitz was an arbitrator that was on this case. And it was basically decided, so if players played 1 year without a contract, they would become a free agent. That was essentially the decision that was made. And no player is going to play 1 year for free without a contract. They would just sit out. So it essentially created free agency.
Oh, it's like kind of like a backdoor way of creating it.
Pretty much.
Okay.
So 1976, very, very important. Free agency was created. So, yep, I think that's all that stuff. The only thing is, well, they had just had a dispute on, like, what is arbitration, when and how. Same exact thing with free agency. We need some regulations on this. And that's what happened in 1980 because players walked out and stalled their new CBA negotiations regarding free agency compensation. The CBA agreed upon in 1980. I'm trying to figure out what my words here even say. I apologize, guys. Essentially, it was they kind of got some guidelines of what free agency should be in 1980, but the compensation structure had to be put on hold until the very next off season. Players were on the side of, in 1980, players wanted max freedom when it comes to signing contracts. Owners wanted a little bit more fairness in what types of contracts can be signed, so players don't all go to one team, which is kind of what's happening right now with the Los Angeles Dodgers, which may be a reason why a lockout could be coming. So that's what happened in 1980. In 1981, free agency compensation was brought up once again. Owners wanted the ability to, if one of their players left in free agency, they wanted to be able to take a player from the team that they signed with. We lost this player. We want to take one player from you. That's what they wanted as like compensation. And the players decided that this wasn't fair in their eyes. And the players didn't really think this was fair. The owners thought it was fair. Again, players want max freedom. Owners want fairness, at least in general sense of the term. And owners essentially started, instead of, letting their guys go to free agency, they're like, oh, well, let's just start signing these guys contracts so we can keep them. And players took advantage of this, and contracts kept going up and up and up and up, a lot like they are in baseball right now. Player contracts are going up and up and up. And the owners are essentially saying, we don't have all this kind of money to keep signing you contracts like this. We can't keep sending you to more and more money, which is always BS.
Yes, 100%.
is always BS. Again, the owners want fairness. The players want freedom.
He's quoting every time he does fairness, by the way, for the audio listeners.
Can you tell what side I'm on? Be on the player's side, okay? Yes, they're millionaires, but they're not billionaires, okay? Lesser of two evils. They entertain you, gosh darn it. So in 1980, there was a giant dispute between, free agency compensation, should the owners get anything in return, should they not? It directly led to the 1981 players' strike that happened. I want to make sure I get my seasons correct here. So 1981, again, the owners wanted the ability to pick a player from the team that signed their free agent, and salaries kept going up. Arbitration salaries kept going up. Owners claimed they didn't have the money. So the outcome of all this after 1981 was that if this team lost one of their free agents to another team, the team that lost the free agent got to choose a player from a pool of unprotected players across the whole league. So they could pick someone from someone unprotected from any one of the teams, not just specifically the team, because the owners wanted, like, we can choose any player from your team that comes to us. And the players were like, well, you can't just have any player.
No, because then you just, like, get as many people as a free agent as you can, and then you get all the good players and then your teams.
Right. And then it's like, okay, you get our good player, we're taking your good player. And so the players are like, okay, fine, you can have compensation, but we're allowed to protect some players that, you know, our stars aren't just switching teams all the time. And this is essentially compensation picks. When guys leave in free agency, a team will get a compensation pick. Sometimes, not always. There's rules. It's a whole different thing. So owners were awarded comp picks. Players agreed to restrict free agency to only players with 6+ years of service time. Here's where that comes in. So 1981, that's when you need 6+ years of service. You can become a free agent, sign a contract, all that hoopla, good stuff. Another big thing, I did not write down if this was 1980 or 1981, but this was a big deal as far as, like, missing games. I had mentioned back in 1972 there was 86 total games missed league-wide. Well, 1980 there was 712 games missed league-wide, so like 9 times the amount.
That's looking like more of a big number.
Yes. This essentially, because of when it happened, like the first third of the season happened, strike, and then baseball finally came back towards the end of the year, and they essentially just decided that, okay, pre-strike is season part 1, post-strike is season part 2, and they had like a really weird playoff format where the team that won the first half of the season in their division made the playoffs, but the team that won the division in the second half of the season also made the playoffs. So there was an expanded playoff. It's really weird. It's complex. It's stupid. It's dumb. And this essentially created what is now the league division series. So there's the wild card rounds, there's the division series, the championship series, and then the World Series.
Oh, okay. That's kind of cool though. That it's kind of like mess made another.
It made another round of playoff baseball, which, again, the owners love playoff baseball. The more playoff games, the more money they make. 712 total games were canceled. This is 34% of the season. It is literally a third of the season that was missed. There was $146 million lost in salaries, ticket sales, broadcast revenue, and concession revenue. So players and the owners lost out on quite a bit. Please hold on. We have just a little bit more background. So now we're getting closer to doomsday. Okay, we're in 1985. This was only a 2-day stoppage, Caleb. It's only 2 days, but it was kind of a harbinger of things to come. Owners were mad in 1985 because they wanted to limit salary arbitration. You need 3 years of service time consecutively, not just 2 or 3 non-consecutive. And they wanted to cap payrolls for the big spenders. For, like the Yankees can only spend so much money, or the Dodgers in modern times can only spend so much money, because they want more money to be redistributed to these lower teams because they suck, they don't make money, they're in bad spots, yada, yada, yada. The owners of these bad teams don't want to spend money to make money. They just want it to be given to them, pretty much. This is a big thing because owners wanted to cap payout payrolls for these big spenders. There started to be collusion in MLB free agency. Owners would collude with other owners to say, if you don't sign him to this big ass contract that he wants, we won't sign him to this big contract that he wants.
Oh, that's kind of like it's like almost like price fixing. It sounds like.
It's a little bit like that. Absolutely. So yeah, owners started to collude to suppress free agency and essentially control the market, which
Like price fixing.
which, you know, the entire point of free agency is to get paid your market value. And so the owners are trying to reduce that market value. Players did successfully challenge this in court, and they won. And quite a lot of players were given some of the money that they were owed. So yeah, that's what happened in 1985. It was like, this was like the start of like real, like legitimately bad blood between the players and the owners. Like, this is not okay. Stop what you're doing. 1990. So we made it 5 years now. We made it 5 years. But we just couldn't stop arguing. So we had to argue again. This is kind of when this is 1990. This is when they go to court and they arbitrator finds, yes, owners were colluding to suppress player wages. Players take advantage of this newfound landscape because, like, oh, the owners got found out, and now we're going to use that leverage. And player salaries kept going up and up and up and up again, because that's just how market works, right? Yeah, at least in, you know, sports market. Increased leverage, increased player salary, increased arbitration salary for players that were eligible for that. And additionally, not only did the players have leverage because of the court case decision, but the MLB just signed a $1.5 billion TV deal. And so the players knew, like, you got money, bro.
Yeah, like you could trickle that down to us.
You got money, dog. Come on, fork it over. And because of this gigantic deal, the owners wanted a revenue sharing plan similar to that of the NBA, which is essentially 52% of all league revenue goes to the teams, evenly distributed. 48% goes to player salary. And then, of course, good players make more, bad players make less. This is essentially the owner saying, we want a salary cap. And this is something that the players' union vehemently hates. They do not want anything to do with a salary cap.
See, I don't know how I feel about not wanting like a salary cap. I mean, like a soft cap. Because like there is that thing of like, well, we don't have a salary cap, then the richest team can just take all the best players.
And that's pretty much where we are right now with like the Dodgers, or the Mets had a gigantic salary recently. Major League Baseball, as it stands right now, there's no salary floor. So that's why you'll see some teams that just have like embarrassingly low team salaries compared to others. But there is a certain threshold that's called the luxury tax, which is where you could spend up to this point. But as soon as you get into this first luxury tax threshold, then you got to start paying more money out. And then there's also a second luxury tax threshold where you get taxed even more. Some teams, like the Los Angeles Dodgers right now, do not care.
Well, it's like that kind of economy thing where, I mean, it's like just the economy in general right now, where it's like it doesn't matter if you're making billions of dollars. What, you take another like 3% of my money, I still have over like $100 billion.
Right. And owners again are claiming that we can't go into this luxury tax threshold because we'll lose a few $1 million. It's like, you're all billionaires, dude.
Yeah.
So, but this is the luxury tax was essentially the compromise that was created. I don't know exactly when, but it was essentially like players' union is like, no salary cap, because we want our players to get paid their fair market value. I don't care what the fair market value is. It's not going to be, you'll have enough money to pay it, no problem. Well, the owners were like, well, we're billionaires for a reason, and we need something to regulate this, you know?
That's such a tricky thing, though.
It's very, very
because
tricky.
you want the players to get paid well, but at the same time, you don't want, like, I mean, if one team dominates every year, the line starts, you know, evening out, and maybe even goes down, because nobody's going to want to watch if it's the same team every year winning.
Right. And this is kind of what started happening in the NBA. They had a new CBA, which They don't call it the luxury tax threshold. They call it the first apron and the second apron. And there are similar effects in both leagues. But essentially, the second apron in the NBA limits how much you can spend in free agency. If you are in the second apron penalty for too long, I think you can lose draft picks. It's the league's way of parity, saying we don't want these super teams that win 5 championships in a row. We want, and the NBA is like weirdly not actually that bad at parity, but that was their reasoning for it.
Yeah. Kind of like a video game sense. It's kind of like there's like in certain video games there's like I like roguelikes and roguelites. And in a lot of those games there's like, hey, you can take this power up, but then like I'll get an example. I'm playing Slay the Spire right now, and there's this thing where it's, hey, like every turn is based off of energy you get, and there's a thing you can get where it's like, hey, you can take this, and you can every turn you get 1 extra energy, which energy is very important. But now you don't get to have any of these potions that help you out anymore. So it's kind of like something like that would be like
right,
way better. Like how the NBA said they lose draft picks and stuff.
Right. And so again, the salary cap is one of those things where I understand both sides. I understand both sides and how they want to do it. It's just, I do want to reiterate, the owners don't care about parity. They care about money. The Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner, or Rob Manfred, the current MLB commissioner, they will say it's for balance and parity because that's what they're supposed to say. They're the voice of the league. It is important to know that the commissioner, and I have this note down here somewhere, but the commissioner, certainly for Major League Baseball, I assume for other sports, his job is to speak on behalf of the owners. He works for the owners, essentially.
Really?
But he's also the voice of the league. So, yes, just little FYI behind the scenes of, again, like they're saying the things that they say on purpose. Don't ever forget that. These are smart people.
Oh yeah.
They have a lot of money for a lot of reasons. So yes, 1990, owners were like, we need sharing plan, we need a salary cap. Players hated this because it feared they would limit their free agent options and they would have fewer multi-year deals out of it. One of the big things with Major League Baseball right now is players are signing 8, 10, 12-year deals. That's just like super long-term security, which is great for the player. It sucks for the team when it comes to a team-building aspect because it's hard to predict if a player's going to be good a decade from now.
And I remember from the last episode that if you sign a 10-year contract and you only do like 1 year, you still get paid out.
Yes, these are fully guaranteed contracts. So it's, again, the players want max freedom. The owners want fairness. So here we are, Caleb.
We made it.
We've made it to where the dam breaks. I should say in 1990, the league decided to put a committee together to like, okay, we'll invest this whole revenue sharing thing. It was essentially saying like, we can't figure this out, so we'll kick the can down the road. We'll figure it out later. So 1994, 1995, the dam breaks, Caleb. The dam breaks.
It's broken.
It's been cracked many times over, and now we are just gushing water. Due to a worsening financial situation across the league of baseball, owners again proposed a salary cap for better revenue distribution to help out some of these teams on the bottom half of the league. Owners believed small market clubs would fall by the wayside unless teams agreed to share their local broadcasting revenue. Essentially back to that point, in my opinion, of the owners don't want to work to make their money. They just want to be given the money to keep operating their teams so they can keep making money.
Exactly. More passive income.
Pretty much. Look at the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Minnesota Twins as examples. If you know, you know. So, January 19th, 1994. Owners, what is that word? Oh my.
Austin, you wrote it.
I did write it, and I can't even read it. Owners voted to give complete power of labor relations to the commissioner. So, again, this is coming to the fact of the commissioner works on behalf of the owners. So the owners were like, you, Mr. Commissioner, are going to debate the Players Association, and you're going to make it all nice and pretty for us. Good luck. Have fun. One problem at this time, Caleb, is that there was no official commissioner.
Oh, so who are they talking to?
The previous commissioner before 1994, Fay Vincent, the owners forced him to step down in 1992 because Vincent had essentially sided with the players when it comes to labor relations, and he sided with the players in that he was like, wait a second, you were colluding against these guys to like limit their earnings. What the hell is up with that?
Like, hey, don't call us out. Get lost, chump.
That's exactly what happened. So Fay Vincent sided with the players. And again, this collusion really polluted the labor relations between baseball and the players. And then it also left executive director of the MLB Players Association, Donald Fair, with absolutely no trust in whoever was commissioner. The acting commissioner at the time was Bud Selig. He later became the actual commissioner. Donald Fair had no interest in talking to this guy. He had no trust in him. He's like, you're not going to actually do what we want or help us in any sense of the word. February 11th, 1994, owners vote to reduce the commissioner role because the commissioner was not doing what they had hoped. Here's this power. Wait, not like that.
They're like 0 for 2 with it, like in this time.
Yeah. So they voted to reduce the commissioner's role in labor relations. Now, fast forward to June 14th, 1994. Owner proposal. So baseball's still being played now. It's still being played, but relations are ongoing, and the CBA is about to end coming up at the end of the season. So they're trying to get this done before the actual CBA ends December 31st of 1994. But they're still playing baseball currently. It's important to know. The owners proposed in June of that year to get rid of salary arbitration. We're not going to debate your salaries depending on years of service time anymore. But free agency begins after 4 years instead of 6 years. It's like that was like they're like, okay, we don't want to pay you what you're worth in the first 4 years, but then you can do that after that, because they want to control their costs and hopefully build better teams per se in those first 4 years. Try to keep players around. That's their reasoning. It's not bad reasoning. Owners also get the right to keep player of 4+ years by matching the best offer. So if the player, here's where the owners become D-bags again. It's like, okay, you made the free agency and team A is going to offer you $100 million over 5 years, and that's your best offer. And we're like, oh, we can do that. So you're going to come play for us now because we'll just offer you that same contract.
Oh, that's really crappy.
Yeah. And so the players obviously were like, that's dumb and defeats the whole purpose of freedom.
You're basically like price matching your the competition.
It just goes back to like pre-1970s when players had no control over where they got to play baseball. So there was that. And the owners argued that due to all of these changes that they laid out, that average salary would increase from $1.2 million to $2.6 million at the end of like a 10, 12-year period going into like the early 2000s. There's no way to prove that, obviously, but, their fancy models said so. Donald Fair, the MLBPA directive executive, rejected this offer, claiming it was ownership's way of cleaning up their financial issues without the benefit to the players. He was like, you guys have a money problem. That's not my fault. Like, you're just trying to sweep all the thing. You're trying to sweep our earnings under the rug so you can reset yourself, and we just have to play by your rules because of it. That was the players' view of it all. Later in June of that year, this is where, like, I tell you, things were like bad. And when Donald Fair rejected this offer, the owners were like, okay, we could play hardball. The owners voted to refuse paying $7.8 million in pension and benefit plans to the players. They're like, fine, you you don't you don't want to accept this offer. We're just not going to pay you your benefit plan for this year. How about that?
That's really bad.
That is, it's a tactic, Caleb. And the owners believed like, oh, they're not operating in good faith, so we have the right to break this binding clause that we have. The players took the owners to court over this, and surprise, surprise, the players won, Caleb.
That's like that. Honestly, is pretty wild. I thought they could get away with that one.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's like saying like you promise somebody like all this, like, because like a pension, like insurance and stuff is like promised.
Right. Exactly.
And so it's like, you can't just take it away because you said you wanted to.
Right. It's like, we think you broke your contract, so we're not binded to this contract anymore. And a Senate Judiciary Committee, there was legislation provided to like allow this to happen, and this Senate Judiciary Committee did not vote to approve it and ratify it. So the players won that case. And this is the June 1994. After this decision and what the owners had just tried to pull on the players, he said, the players were left with little choice but to go on a strike. We felt in 94 we were pushed into it by the owners. So
I would agree with them.
Yes, in the mind of Executive Director Fair, he was like, "There's nothing else we can do. We just got to stop playing baseball here." So August 12th, 1994, players officially go on strike. We're about 2/3 into the Major League Baseball season, 1994. 114 games were played by all teams, and that was the last game of the 1994 season. Excuse me?
They're just like, hey, we're done.
We're done. We're not going to play until we figure this thing out. Close to a month's worth of negotiations made zero progress. Bud Selig, the acting commissioner, set September 9th, 1994 as a date that, if we don't get anything decided by September 9th, season's canceled. The Players Association made a counteroffer on September 8th, and their offer was essentially a 2% tax on the highest spending teams, the top 16 highest spending teams, and that would be divided between the other 12 clubs. Mm-hmm. So essentially tax the rich and spread it amongst the poor.
Robin Hood
is essentially what it is. And then the teams would share 25% of their gate revenue. The owners rejected this proposal, claiming that that's not enough money to meet our total costs. Whether that's true or not, I don't know.
I can't buy my 30 yachts. You're bleeding me dry.
You're bleeding me dry over here, man. I got to downgrade. To a speedboat. September 14th, 1994, which is 5 days after Bud Selig's set date. Bud Selig came out and said, season's canceled, and the World Series is canceled. Not only, because he played 114 games, that's enough games, right? Well, negotiations went so bad that Selig and the owners were like, okay, not only are we not playing the regular season, but the playoffs are canceled. No more playoffs. And according to Bud Selig, the strike had torn an irreparable hole in the game's fabric, which I think is a very fitting description of things going on here. This is the very first time in North American sports that a CBA negotiation has gone so poorly that they just flat out canceled everything. Usually they come back. This is the first time that they did not.
That's crazy, actually. It's like no baseball.
No baseball whatsoever. And this is the first time that happened. It happened again in 2004, 2005 with the National Hockey League.
Yeah, I was going to say, we talked about that.
Yes. Which was also bad in its own right, and for much similar reasons to why the baseball players were on strike. December 6th, 1994. I feel like I'm like reading like the events of Pearl Harbor here. That guy has a name that I also refuse to spell correctly, I guess. His name is Richard. We'll go with that. Richard resigns as the negotiator for the owners. This Richard guy, I can't. My handwriting's so bad, guys. I'm sorry. This guy named Richard, he was a negotiator for the owners. He resigned as a negotiator, he was like, "This is just too much, man. I can't do this anymore."
Like, listen, I've made enough money. I'm out.
Pretty much. And so baseball's been canceled. The players are vehemently pissed at the owners for what the owners want to implement. The owners are like, you guys aren't listening to us. This is going to be better for the future of the game, yada, yada, yada. So December 15th, the owners were like, okay, salary cap, it's happening. You can't, no bones about it. It's going to happen. January 4th, 1995, there were bills aimed at ending the strike that were introduced to Congress. And the very next day, bills introduced to Congress to, end the strike and say, let's go play baseball, guys. Donald Fair declared that in lieu of a salary cap now being voted upon, that, okay, all these 895 Major League Baseball players, they're free agents now. Because
every single one of them?
Every single one of them. Because his argument was the owners just changed the contracts on us that we were binded to. Okay, well, if those no longer exist, then we don't have a contract and we're all free agents now.
Oh, that's so sick, actually.
He's like, they're both punching back and forth. January 26th, President Bill Clinton ordered owners. The president. I told you, this shit gets wild.
Topical, too.
Yes. President Bill Clinton ordered the owners and the players to have a resolution by February 6th. I'm sure this will shock you. That didn't happen. 5 days before that alleged date that things need to be figured out, the owners voted to revoke the salary cap and go back to the old agreement. So the owners were like, okay, that didn't work the way we thought it would. Because they want to go back to the old agreement, the owners then decided, okay, you don't have to play baseball. We'll just use a bunch of replacement players. So everybody that's in the minor leagues, we're going to just bring those guys up to play Major League Baseball because we're playing baseball whether the Major League Baseball players want to or not. That was their next move. Bud Selig, the acting commissioner, demanded that the 1995 season be played, needed to happen. The MLBPA stated they wouldn't settle if replacements were used. Like, if a replacement player plays even one pitch of a baseball game, none of these guys are coming back. That's what they said. Like, it's not going to happen whatsoever. That was on March 14th, 1994. Or 1995. Sorry. March 14th, 1995. Even, like, so when the owners were like, okay, we'll use replacement players, there were managers of baseball teams. There were management of baseball teams. Not owners, but management of baseball teams. And quite literally local governments that were against using replacement players. There was local governments. I think Baltimore was a place where this happened, where the city was like, yeah, we're not going to allow replacement players to play for this baseball team. And so
the mayor is getting involved.
So that's kind of how this just getting crazy. Like, everybody's getting involved in this baseball strike. March 26, 1995, MLB announced the 95 season would be reduced to 144 games from 162. One of the overarching impacts of the strike completely ruined the TV deal that they had just signed with ABC and NBC. They lost $595 million in ad revenue for this strike in 1994 and 1995. ABC and NBC opted out of the deal after the shortened 1995 season because of how bad things had gotten. Like, we're not going to mess with that anymore. This is a nightmare. March 29th, 1995, players agree to return if the U.S. District Court judges, if a U.S. District Court judge supported the National Labor Relations Board's complaint against the owners, essentially, like, if the law or if these judiciaries agree that you guys are stupid, then we'll come and play. If they agree with us, we'll go play. Owners responded by approving the use of replacement players, but judge stepped in and issued a preliminary injunction against the owners on March 31st, 1995, which essentially just said, the injunction means like this isn't solved, but we're going back to the way things were. And that's what you guys are legally bound to until we get something else in place. So the strike ends April 2nd, 1995. A couple of numbers here. Ownership lost $580 million in revenue. The players lost $230 million in salary. The players were bound to this CBA, of course. A couple other numbers here. Attendance dramatically dipped during the short 1995 season. 6,000 less fans per game dipped, so that's a massive chunk.
Do you think that's because like they were like for the players of like we're not gonna?
I have other notes, and I think I do have one note maybe, but the fans were pissed off at both. They're like, guys, like we've missed almost a full season of baseball because you guys can't, because the millionaires and the billionaires can't figure this out. Like we just want to see baseball. So there were fans that were on the owner side. It's like, let's play baseball, and there were fans on the player side, pay them more. And there was several protests by players that were actually very interesting and very creative, but I'm already taking up a lot of time, so I didn't include them in here. Yes, several examples of fan protests against both the owners and the players. Television ratings completely plummeted for this time, and the owners also tried to fight this injunction later that year, September 29th, 1995. And then a 3-judge panel, I believe in New York, voted to uphold this injunction. Judges stated that the owners illegally tried to eliminate free agency and salary arbitration, which just ties back into what this even started with back in the 1970s.
So it's just a whole circle.
Just a whole circle, and it's essentially what they're fighting about right now. Yes. So that is my long-winded 1994-1995 MLB strike. I apologize that took quite a bit of time, Caleb.
No.
But
I like. I guess like I never really thought about like how complicated this all is, because like there is like so much money involved.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just like, hey, you make a lot of money, go hit ball, go
Right.
throw ball.
It's not like, and not that what we do, not that there's like a union at all involved, but it's not as simple as like, okay, I want to work there because I think you'll pay me enough money to where I can like pay my rent and my bills, and like that's good enough for me, and it's a decent workplace. Like I'm good. I don't really care to read the contract or get into the weeds, yada yada yada. But we're not making millions and millions of dollars a year.
Yeah. Well, and your whole salary is based on how good you are too.
Right.
Because like that's not really most jobs.
No.
A lot of jobs, but not most jobs.
Right. The other, it's really important to point this out as well. This is the last thing I'll say, and then it's Caleb's turn. The Montreal Expos used to be a team that existed, Major League Baseball. Most of their history was meh. They had like 2 good seasons in all reality. Their best season by far was the 1994 season.
Before this all happened.
And they were going to be one of the top playoff teams. They had a chance to win the World Series that year. And the strike happens. And essentially, when they came back to play baseball in 95 and 96, the owners essentially, those owners in particular, really couldn't afford to keep paying the players that they were playing. So they traded and sold off or got rid of like their top 5 or 6 players. Team went down the drain, and the Montreal Expos moved not even a couple years later out of Montreal. They were relocated to Washington, D.C.
And
so
they are
the Washington Nationals now.
Okay.
So you can essentially say that the 94-95 strike killed the Montreal Expos.
No Canadian teams. There's no Canadian teams, right? No.
The Blue Jays.
There's still Toronto Blue Jays. Right.
So, all right, Kale. I told you we're going to get in the weeds. This is baseball, baby.
That was great. Good. I can go a little faster on this one. So, Austin, since it's the start of our season 2, I thought what would be a great topic to discuss than something that just recently started its own season 2. This is a topic that I have also talked about before, but I never really got like too much into the weeds about, I figured it's gonna be like our first topic where I'm actually like going in depth about a more niche topic.
Not a history, but more of like a.
No, it's history. It's
Okay.
history.
Okay.
But it's not like a general
I
topic.
got you.
It's
I got you.
it's a specific video game series, which just got its season 2, Fallout.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
You have touched on this briefly before.
Yes, I've talked about it a decent amount here. You guys didn't know. I have 2 loves in the video game world, and they're both Bethesda games. It's Elder Scrolls and Fallout. I do love Elder Scrolls more, but Fallout Season 2 just came out, Episode 1. Last week, Episode 2 comes out tomorrow. And I want to preface this. I won't be able to give any spoilers or slip up because I made sure to not watch it before I did this episode. I've seen Season 1, all of it, and it's amazing, an amazing show. But I made sure you're not going to get any Season 2 spoilers, any slip ups from me here today. There's going to be video game spoilers for sure.
Well, I mean,
yeah, but I'm going to try not to do any Season 1 spoilers as well because it is still a fairly new show. So, Austin, do you know what the premise of Fallout is?
Fallout, is it Fallout as in like nuclear fallout?
Yes.
Like nuclear war essentially, and now you got to like survive in this crazy world.
Yeah, exactly. So, Fallout is the games. Most of them take place about 80 to 200 years after the bombs dropped, called the Great War. And it's kind of the life in this post-apocalyptic wasteland in different areas. Like we'll get into, there's like a lot of it's in California, Nevada, with a dam. And like I was gonna make a joke when you said a dam earlier. And like Boston and Washington D.C. But it's the kind of cool part about this is it's a world where the 1950s culture kind of stayed, and that kind of like, like diner, 1950s clothes, Red Scare, nuclear family type of stuff. Like, you get your like Frank Sinatra's, Bing Crosby's, probably the most popular is, or most tied is the Ink Spots.
Like cultural influence just like paused.
Yeah, exactly.
And then
it's
restarted.
Like, it's like, imagine like nobody made any music past the 1950s and nobody decided to like change their clothes or their hairstyle. But it's really cool. So it's 1950s, and it's about just these characters in this culture surviving 100 years, 200 years after these bombs dropped, where the big change in this series was transistor technology is never developed. So technology never gets smaller, or if it does, it's like, how smartphones have like, it's like microscopic chips inside there. Yeah, that never happens.
Interesting.
So these computers are all big and blocky. The graphics are like kind of like text blocks that move around. Like imagine like a Galaga. You know what that is?
I do not know that, actually.
Imagine Pac-Man. Here you go. Imagine like that's the graphics. Oh, the bombs dropped in 2077. So like 50 more years from now plus. But yeah, the graphics still at that time are like Pac-Man.
Interesting.
Or like all the computers, like they're typing like the terminals, like all the code is like just that big blocky text.
Yep, I got you.
And so the transistor technology is never developed, but there's a lot of emphasis on vacuum tubes and nuclear technology. Now, I had to look up what vacuum tubes were to make sure I knew what they are, and they're essentially like what old computers did to change. Like you would like if you lit them up, it'd be like the ones and zeros, but imagine the ones and zeros are like the size of a Coke can.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, or like maybe like smaller or whatever, but like, so you can't have like to have a lot of like changes in your code, you need like hundreds of like. I'm probably like doing a very bad job explaining this. I might not even be right. I just tried.
The point being that technology is not as advanced.
It's advanced in a different way.
Okay.
The nuclear technology has advanced insanely. So like there's a joke of like gas costing like $1,000 a gram, but it's a gram of uranium because all the cars run on nuclear energy.
Interesting.
So it's like yeah, like it'll power it for whatever
Forever or a while.
And robotics is like insanely advanced. Like there's robots that can like do whatever you need to do, just like walking around, and then like it's post-apocalypse, and so like all these robots survive, but like they're like hardwired is like destroyed, so they're all a little crazy.
Interesting. Yeah, I gotcha.
And yeah, and then like there's a lot more emphasis on like the different kind of weapons too, like laser weapons. There's that developed because there was a lot more war because the Red Scare kept on going up until 2077, like communism versus capitalism. And I think one of the coolest things is like there's like a before the bombs dropped, there's like a war going on between China and the United States in Alaska, Anchorage specifically. It's like a huge turning point. And before these bombs drop, there's like a resource crisis, which is like still a very real possibility now. But it's like this resource crisis of, hey, we actually like we keep using all this like oil and or nuclear uranium and stuff like that. We actually like are running out of all this stuff. And so like countries are fighting over it and like, well,
right.
But it's that very much of America is fine because America's America. It's very like patriotic. Like one of my favorite characters is Liberty Prime. It's this giant robot that hates communism. He goes, rather be dead than red, and then he just shoots a giant laser out of his head. he's like 100 feet tall. And I think what's really funny about or Fallout is that it's a very funny series. Like it can be like very deep and like depressing, but like it's a very dark humor like kind of game where like people like there's like a moment where like someone's like, woohoo, yay, I survived. They'll walk like 2 feet and get blown up by a landmine. Just like stuff like that. It's like that's like hilarious. So I'll give you a little background now into the Fallout series, or a little background into like that. So the Great War happens in 2077, October 23rd, by the way. That's Fallout Day. And the main big part of this is the Vaults by Vault-Tec. Now these are like this company that put a bunch of vaults around the United States, like because they were like, hey, nuclear war is gonna happen. If you watch the show, they get a little more in detail into that. But yeah, there's these 122 vaults that are just placed around, and every single vault, besides, I have it right here. I think it was besides 13 of them. Do I have it? Yeah, I think it was 13 were social experiments. So there's 13 control vaults where, hey, it's like you're not going to be doing anything. You're just trying to survive. But then these other ones, they're like, we're going to mess with these people inside because they all have to live in the space.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to mess with them.
Maybe you said, and I just didn't hear. How big are these vaults?
It's lore wise, it's like kind of iffy. I think the consensus is typically between 100 and 1,000 because there's some vaults where I know there's these ones aren't canon. I actually didn't put them here, but there's Vault 68 and Vault 69, which are
nice.
Well, the funny thing is it's it is about 1,000 people because it's 999 men and 1 woman in 68. In the reverse, so 999 women and then 1 man in 69.
Yeah.
Little funny fact about that one too. Again, not actual canon, but apparently, like in the Vault 68, according to lore, the 1 woman became like a queen and dominated over like her area, and then the other guy was like used as like a slave
Jesus.
So yeah, I was like, all right. It's kind of like the inverse of what you'd think would actually happen.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, so I want to go through couple of my favorite vaults real quick. Vault 11, where residents had to sacrifice a person every year, or the vault would kill everyone.
It's brutal.
Yeah. I'm not gonna spoil that one because if you play the game, it's actually a really good one. This one's one of my favorites. Like seriously, Vault 95. Every resident was besides the Vault Tech employees were recovering addicts. The employees made sure everybody got sobered up, and then after everybody was sobered up, 5 years passed, and then a hidden room with a metric ton of drugs opened up.
Just, like, how many weird ass situations can we come up with? Let's just see what happens.
Exactly.
Just like playing with people.
So Vault 13, which is actually the first vault, the game that you are from in the first vault, it's an extreme isolation. So you're supposed to like, hey, how can people like, because these vaults are supposed to open up eventually. How do these people survive if the vault is not gonna open up? This one, the funny thing about it though is that the water chip in the vault, the thing that like actually makes everybody survive, broke after 84 years. And it was supposed to last for like over like 300 years. So it's like, hey, that experiment kind of got messed up. And then Vault 101, which is the Fallout 3 vault, that one's very similar, except the overseer, who the overseer is the person who just runs the entire vault. They were like a dictator, and their word was absolute. So it was like there's like a funny thing of like when you take like your test in the game, because you're like that's kind of how you like get your skills. Is like if you take a test when you're a teenager, and the last question is like, who is like the best person ever, the one who guides the light, the one who's ever, and usually have like 5 answers, and all 5 answers are the overseer, the overseer, the overseer, the overseer, the overseers. Like yeah, and one of the best vaults in here, Vault 108. A guy named Gary was cloned hundreds of times.
Oh no.
And the clones got so whacked out that all they can say is, Gary.
Do you know Gary?
That's an inside joke. So yeah, if you can't tell, a lot of these experiences were really messed up.
Yeah.
I don't know these exact numbers, but I'll give some more. There's one that was like they were taught to never like use violence against anybody and whatever, and they like everybody was like, we're gonna go spread peace across the wasteland. They open the door and there's a bunch of raider gangs that instantly come in and blow them all up. I was like, that one kind of failed.
Yikes.
There's one where it's like everybody in there is like music or like skilled musically, but there's like kind of like a background like white noise that like always comes to the vault, and they wanted to see like what would happen, and then everybody ended up killing each other because they couldn't take the white noise anymore.
That would drive me insane too, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. There's one where this one's not canon as well, but there's one where there's like one guy and a bunch of puppets. I don't think that one would actually be in the game, but that one's yeah. And then there's the vaults in the Fallout TV show, which I'm not going to spoil, but it's like, you learn right away. There's basically 3 vaults, and they're all connected in this like one little chamber. So you can like, there's like the back vault or the door to the actual outside, and then there's room for there's a spot where all 3 vaults, and they do like trading and stuff. Yeah, Vault Tech.
Interesting.
Kind of messed up.
That is an aspect of the game and the TV series that I did not know about.
Yeah, and it's like the best part, because most of the games you play as a vault dweller. There's only actually out of the main games, there's only 2 where you don't. Oh, I should say Fallout 4's vault, you which we'll get to, but you are pre-war, so you are from before and everybody in it is from before the bombs dropped, but you're cryogenically frozen. And so their experiment was like, hey, we're gonna freeze these people and see how they survive like 300 years later, 200 years later.
Interesting.
Well, I'll tell you how that one went when we get to it. But Fallout did not start with Fallout. It actually started with a game called Wasteland, which, if you can tell, is very similar to Fallout.
Yeah, makes sense.
You remember when we were talking about RPGs, and I was talking about how like those really old school ones, like the 2D graphics and all that. This is essentially that, like that kind of like Link's Awakening, or Legend of Zelda, just like regular old game. But even before that, this was 1988, by Interplay. They wanted to make a sequel to Wasteland, but Wasteland was a licensed game from a bigger publisher, and they couldn't get the rights to make a sequel to Wasteland. But they really wanted to do a post-apocalyptic game, so like, well, we'll just make Fallout then. So this could be a fun date for you. Fallout, the first game, 1997 of September 30th. You guys did not know I was born exactly 3 years later.
Lame.
So, remember we were talking about what isometric was?
I'm sorry, Eternal. I was say September 30th. No, okay. We would have been, Grand Forks probably would have been recovered from flooding by that point.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Isometric.
Yeah. Do you remember what isometric was?
Refresh me.
It's kind of like that 2.5D.
Okay.
Where it's like you're not looking straight, aerial view. You're not like, it's not entirely 3D. It's kind of like that diagonal camera angle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So these games, Fallout 1 and 2, were isometric turn-based RPGs with the special system. Now, the special system, basically turn-based is turn-based. So you attack, and then your enemy attacks. Then you attack, and then your enemy attacks. What was cool though is, we'll start with the VAT system. The VAT system, Vault-Tec assisted targeting system, is what it's called in the game. You could target different parts of your enemy's like body, and it would do different things. So you target their arm, and they're holding a gun. They can't shoot as accurately anymore if you hit them. You target their eyes, can't shoot as accurately. Legs can't move as fast. And you could target their groin too, which just really hurts them.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And so they had this thing also called the special system, which stands for strength, perception, endurance, charisma, intelligence, agility, and luck. These are kind of like a lot of what RPGs are based off of, like just those attributes. It was kind of cool they got that filled out in like a special system. And so yeah, different. You would put points into these, and if your strength was maxed out, you're really good with melee weapons. Your perception was maxed out, you could shoot things a lot easier. Your intelligence was maxed out, you could do more like the hacking and science-based stuff. Your luck was maxed out. Your gambling was off the charts. Like endurance was health. Charisma, talking to people, which dialogue is a huge thing in these games. That was better. And then agility, used action points in combat. And the more agility you had, the more action points you had. So the more things you could do per turn versus somebody else.
Gotcha.
So this game takes place in Southern California, 84 years after the bombs dropped. And you were a vault dweller from Vault 13 who's sent to, remember how I said it was complete isolationist? They needed to send somebody out or else they're going to die. So they sent somebody out to go to try and help them out here. This was a kind of a revolutionary game in terms of the RPG sense, because it had open world, had map travel, so it was really cool. So it was like you could travel in a town, but then you would like zoom out to another map, and like you could click on a spot, like go to this new city, and you'd travel there. But you had a time frame. You had like a time frame of like 300 days. And so like sometimes it would take like a day or two to travel somewhere. So like you're wasting time traveling. So you got to be careful of doing that.
Interesting.
And then when you travel, sometimes there'd be like events, like there'd be like raiders that stop you, or like a trader that stops you, and like you can trade with them and stuff. It's a very old school game, but it had like these also like skill points, traits, which the traits were what I was trying to talk about, of like you would take it and you were better at something, but then you were worse at something else. Like there's a an example, there's a trait in New Vegas, which we'll get to, is called Four Eyes, where when you're wearing glasses, your perception is up one, but when you're not wearing glasses, your perception is down one. So if you're needing it to wear like a helmet, you can't wear glasses with the helmet,
Mm-hmm.
so your perception is down. So like, yes, you're wearing glasses, you'll have better perception than somebody else who just didn't have the trait, but your head isn't protected. Your head is what gets hit the most.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay.
And there's like perks, which perks would be like extra things that help, and then stats like you 10% better at this, 20% better at that. Fallout 2 came out so close, October 29th, 1998.
Close enough.
Yeah, so weirdly enough, these games are near our birthdays. This was 80 years after Fallout 1, and you play as like the grandchild of, or like an ancestor of the Vault Dweller from Fallout 1, and you play as the Chosen One. This is one of the only two games that are the mainline games that you don't play as a Vault Dweller. This just basically was Fallout 1 but better. Like there was more endings, more customization, a bigger world, there was more things to do, and it was made by Interplay again. This is also the last of the mainline games that was made by Interplay, the people who started it all. Now we get to Fallout 3. So, a little background. Fallout 3 was made by Bethesda Game Studios after Interplay went bankrupt.
Sad.
Yes, so they're like, hey, we need to save our company. We will just sell our best-selling game franchise to Bethesda, who's known for making pretty cool RPGs. And so they sold it to Bethesda, and then they went bankrupt anyway.
It was a valiant effort.
Yes. So Bethesda decided to take this in October 28th, 2008, release Fallout 3, and decided to take a more of a Oblivion take. Oblivion is the game before Skyrim. They're like, hey, we can just do Fallout like Oblivion we did. And so they made it a first-person RPG. You play as a Vault Dweller from Vault 101 again. And this open world was handcrafted. So basically everything you see was made by Bethesda. There's no procedural, or there's procedural generation in the sense of like terrain generation. But like if a toaster is somewhere, you can grab that toaster. That was placed by an actual person.
It's cool.
VATS was kind of changed too, because it's not turn-based combat anymore. It's more action RPG. So like, how are you gonna do this VATS system? Well, it was kind of cool. You press a button and VATS would pop up and it'd pause time, so it's still that turn-based mode, and you can still target people. Can't target the groins anymore, unfortunately, or the eyes, but you can target like the head, torso, legs, and arms. And like these, like in the older games, would affect it. Like if you shoot the head, you're gonna get concussed. Torso, it's gonna be the easiest to shoot, but it's not gonna have any special effect.
Mm-hmm.
Legs, you'll move slower. Arms, you'll be able to hit weaker or shoot less accurately. And you were also affected by these as well. So if somebody shot your head, and your head was crippled, you'd get like these, like your vision would kind of go like blurry and stuff, and you can't shoot as easy. Or your arm, you don't do as much damage. Your leg, you don't move as fast. So you were also affected by these. This game takes place in the Capital Wasteland, so Washington D.C., East Coast, not West Coast, like the previous games, which took place in California. 200 years after the bombs fell in 2277. Fallout 3, huge hit. I don't have any of the numbers for these games, but I just know it did a lot.
Mm-hmm. When did the third one come out?
October 28th, 2008.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so it was 2 years after Oblivion, and then 3 years before Skyrim. So, Bethesda's like, hey, we got to work on Skyrim. But people freaking loved this game.
Mm-hmm.
So Bethesda doesn't really do this anymore, but they're like, hey, we're gonna license out this game like Wasteland was licensed to Interplay.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna license it out to a different studio. This studio was Obsidian Entertainment. Fun fact about Obsidian Entertainment, it is mostly made up of the people who were laid off from Interplay.
Oh, really?
Yes. So it's basically made by Interplay, essentially.
So they're like, we need to work on Skyrim because that's where our focus is. We need to make sure that gets done and is successful. But we'll make sure Fallout gets created. So we'll just hand it off to the people that know what Fallout is.
It's literally that. And same exact engine. They use the creation engine. Little fun fact about the creation engine: it's a really, really tough engine to like do things you want to do in because it's such a different engine than every other game. It's really good for modding. That's all it really is good for, and the type of games that Bethesda makes.
Mm-hmm.
They need a new engine. I would just say that. And this game takes place in Las Vegas, Fallout New Vegas, about 4 years after Fallout 3. So this is the second and only other game that you play as not a Vault Dweller. So you play as the courier who's delivering a package. Little fun fact too, Matthew Perry, rest in peace, he played one of the main antagonists of this game because he said he played like on talk shows. He would talk how he played Fallout 3 so much his hands would like hurt, and Obsidian's like, "Can we get you in our game if you're such a big fan?" And he instantly said it.
That's
and
cool.
He's actually the person like right at the beginning who shoots you. Like, it's not a spoiler. It happens right at the beginning of the game. He's the person that shoots you. So that's kind of cool. Shame he won't be able to be in the TV show. He unfortunately has passed. But so this one is considered the best Fallout game despite its rushed development.
Interesting.
Obsidian had about only like a year and a half to make this game, and they did it. Like,
Yeah.
And it's the most beloved by far. It's people say it has the best story. It has way better faction and RPG systems. So Bethesda or kind of like people would say like they kind of dumbed down the game in a sense. And Obsidian kind of said, "Hey, you're not that dumb, guys," and brought it up a little bit.
Gotcha.
Like there were no traits in Fallout 3, but there were traits in Fallout New Vegas. And this game had like a bunch of different endings as well. You could actually choose to end the game as like your own faction, which is really cool too. And it added iron sights and weapon mods into the game because Bethesda did not know how to add iron sights into Fallout 3. So when you zoom in on your gun, it's just like slightly more zoomed in, and there's still that little dot there.
Interesting.
Yeah, New Vegas added iron sights.
That's funny. Like, we can create this really cool, complex game, but like, I don't know how to do all that, man. That's above my head.
So now we get to Fallout 4 in November 10th, 2015. This is probably the game I was most hyped for, and it's definitely not a bad game at all. It's just different. But yeah, I remember sitting in high school being like, I'm so excited for this game. Actually, I was in middle school and then high school. I was in 8th grade when I was like, oh my gosh, this game's coming out. So this takes place in Boston, the capital wasteland, 10 years after Fallout 3, 6 years after Fallout New Vegas. This one, you do start pre-war. A guy comes to your house and like, hey, I'm with Vault-Tec. We got a place for you in the vault. You're like, okay, cool. And then like 5 minutes later, the bombs start dropping. So you're like, oh, thank goodness we got the vault ticket. So yeah, this takes that kind of that twist of like we never really saw what happened pre-war, but now you get to see like a little bit of like what the life looked like and stuff. This one had a voice protagonist. All these other games you were just picking dialogue options. This one has two voice protagonists, male and female. And it had also like settlement building, kind of like Minecraft almost, or like Sims, which was kind of cool. Like, it kind of took that aspect of like, there's all this junk sitting everywhere. Why don't we like this cup is ceramic, So it has ceramic parts, so you can build something with ceramic. This like metal can is steel, so you can use this for steel and stuff. That was kind of cool. But it got rid of skills. So now it's only perks. There's no, so your special stats are still there, but no skills. So the skills were like your guns, medicine, hacking. Those are no longer there. Those are in perks now. So you would take a hacking perk, and you could hack level 1 terminals or novice terminals. Another perk, level 2 terminals, and so on. Definitely less RPG and more action. The combat was upgraded as well, so you didn't even really need to use VATS anymore. You could actually just aim down your iron sights or your sights, because you could add weapon mods onto that and shoot people as well. But I will say, out of all the DLC ever for any game, this game has the best DLC with Far Harbor. It is fantastic.
Yeah.
It is such a great story, you could choose so many different things, so many different twists, so many different cool areas you can explore too. It's just one of the best. And then we get to the most recent game. I almost didn't want to include this, but I will include it. Fallout 76. I only include this for one reason, which we'll get to. This was a Bethesda's multiplayer take on it. It's still going on today. But it was very, very buggy at launch, and I recommend everybody watching to go watch Internet Historians. The Fall of 76 is one of the most entertaining YouTube videos of all time. It is so good. But I do want to preface this. This is for the reason. Take Me Home, Country Roads is only popular for the Gen Z population because of this trailer. I said it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said it. Yes, it is.
I guess I don't know if maybe I have seen the trailer and I just don't really remember it.
It starts off with that song, and then it got really popular after that.
It seems like a very Fallout style song.
Yes, and Fallout 76 takes place in West Virginia as well. So
that would
exactly.
make sense.
So that's why they used it. And so I want to end off here with the Fallout show. Highly recommend you watch it. You'd love it. My girlfriend and me watched it. She's never played a Fallout game ever. Didn't know about it. She loved the show. My dad never played a Fallout game. He loved the show. It's a very good show. You learn a lot more about like Vault-Tec and the cool stuff in the vaults and all that.
Interesting.
In the world here. And it truly is one of those like live action or like video game to live action like film / TV that is very true to the video games and the world.
That's cool.
So like, yeah, it's like they don't like, and I love that they didn't rehash a story; they made a new story for it,
which is also pretty cool too. It's a bold leap to make, but I think it's cool.
Exactly. Which is, I mean, this world is perfect. It's like this is like a Star Wars. Like there's a lot of different stories you can tell in it.
Right, and it kind of falls in theme with the whole series itself. Where like I'm assuming the newer games have lore that relates to previous games, but it's not necessarily like a continuation.
No, yeah, because if you noticed, every game takes place either super late after or in a completely new area. Right. So there are some characters that do pop up. Like there's in Fallout 2, there's a super mutant, which super mutants can live a very long time. His name's Martin. I hope I got that right. No, Marcus. It's Marcus. I know for a fact it's Marcus. He's in Fallout 2 as one of the companions, and then in Fallout New Vegas, which is like 100 years later, he's like running this town for like super mutants that are like addicted to this thing called Stealth Boy, which turns you invisible. They're addicted to that, and so he's like helping them, and he's like that. And there's a character who works on Liberty Prime in Fallout 3 that appears in Fallout 4 because it's like right there and stuff. Right. So. Yeah. There's like a little bit of continuation, but these characters are different stuff.
Right. I got you. No, that's cool. I really like that. I learned a lot of things about Fallout that I did not know. And I've always thought like just seeing pictures or videos of the game that it looks fun. I've always thought it looked really cool, but I never took the time to get into it. But now I'm even more interested to maybe try it out one day.
Definitely watch the show. I'd recommend that And I would recommend everybody here, if you're gonna play a Fallout game that you never played before, I would start with Fallout 4. It is the most modern. It's the most like easily accessible game.
Mm-hmm.
If you're like you don't play many video games, it's gonna be the easiest one to get into, and then you'll have maybe more appreciation if you want to jump into a 3, a New Vegas, or if you're brave, a 1 or 2.
Are you able to play 1 and 2 on like a PC or?
Just a PC, yeah. No consoles,
Okay.
just a PC. There's rumors that they're gonna remake it, but we'll see. We'll see if that happens.
Potentially, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Well, Austin, that has been my Fallout topic.
Well, heck yeah, dude. I mean, a little bit longer than normal, but not too bad. I think. Well, you actually talked for a lot longer than I thought you did.
Yeah.
So, but I learned, like I said, I learned a lot of things about Fallout that I didn't know before, and yeah, I think it's cool that the TV show takes inspiration from the actual game series, but still builds its own world in itself. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and I do think that if you're gonna take like the lore of like stuff, like it's just such like an interesting like world that it can be up there with like that Lord of the Rings or that Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like it's because post-apocalyptic doesn't get too much love in media,
Right.
but it can be like really sad and dark. But I think that the one of the best things about it is that it's really funny.
Mm-hmm.
It can be like hilarious. Like the show is really funny, like actually too.
Which also kind of surprised. Like I said, I didn't know too much about it, but to hear that it's also there's a lot of comedy in there too is also really interesting.
Yeah.
So
like this isn't too much of a spoiler because I'm not gonna tell you who, but there's a guy who's he's like dying. He's like, you need to cut off my head. You still need my head. Please cut it off for me. It's like, oh no, there's a joke. It literally is like, it's like, oh, I thought you were gonna keep me as your sex slave. It goes, sex slave? That's disgusting. I'm just gonna harvest your organs. It's like
so much better.
Yeah. It's like stuff like that. It's funny.
Yes. Well, one of the things I really like about this podcast, Caleb, is you get really super serious topics like players and owners striking and locking each other out, and then we get a little background on a specific video game and a TV show that's created by it. It's like two very, again, I perfectly fits the Balls and Blasters.
Yes.
I think
The Balls and Blasters. This is not merch that you can buy.
No.
Currently, but maybe in the future.
Maybe one day we'll unlock that technology as well.
Right. I have to go to the bathroom. So Austin, shall we end it before I make an accident?
We can. Yes, absolutely. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us. We have a TikTok page. But for our audio listeners out there, you can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. This is we're getting into a quieter time in our personal lives, so we should get back to our consistent weekly schedule. And hopefully have some bits and bobs to improve the look and the feel of Balls and Blasters here. But
yeah, it should only be getting better. Literally, upgrades every day.
We have a lot of fun, guys, and it's really cool that we have some listeners that keep coming back. So we really appreciate your love. Make sure to like, comment, share, favorite, subscribe, tell friends and family. Put the word out there, man. Balls and Blasters.
And if you see us, say hi. Please don't ask us to be on the pod.
I think it'd be really cool if I came on.
Okay.
We love you all the same.
We do.
It's okay.
We do. Maybe one day.
Maybe.
All right. I'm Caleb.
I've been Austin. I think I'll still be next time too. So
I'll see you guys later.
Bye-bye.